Wind and window flower. Lovers, forget your love, and list to the love of these, she, a window flower, and he, a winter breeze. When the frosty window veil was melted down at noon, and the caged yellow bird hung over her in tune, he marked her through the pane, he could not help but mark, and only passed her by, to come again at dark. He was a winter wind, concerned with ice and snow, dead weeds, and unmated birds, and little love could know. But he sighed upon the sill, he gave the sash a shake, as witness all within, who lay that night awake. Perchance he half prevailed, to win her for the flight, from the firelit looking-glass, and warm stove window light. But the flower leaned aside, and thought of naught to say, and morning found the breeze 100 miles away. To the thawing wind. Come with rain, O loud southwester, bring the singer, bring the nester, give the buried flower a dream, make the settled snowbank steam, find the brown beneath the white, but whatever you do tonight, bathe my window, make it flow, melt it as the ice will go, melt the glass and leave the sticks, like a hermit's crucifix. Burst into my narrow stall, swing the picture on the wall, run the rattling pages over, scatter poems on the floor, turn the poet out of door. A prayer in spring. Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away as the uncertain harvest. Keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard white, like nothing else by day, like ghosts by night. And make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm dilating round the perfect trees. And make us happy in the darting bird, that suddenly above the bees is heard, the meteor that thrusts in with needle bill, and off a blossom in mid-air stands still. For this is love, and nothing else is love, the which it is reserved for God above, to sanctify to what far ends he will, but which it only needs that we fulfill. Flower gathering. I left you in the morning, and in the morning glow, you walked away beside me to make me sad to go. Do you know me in the gloaming, gaunt and dusty gray with roaming? Are you dumb because you know me not, or dumb because you know? All for me, and not a question for the faded flowers gay, that could take me from beside you for the ages of a day. They are yours, and be the measure of their worth for you to treasure, the measure of the little while that I've been long away. Rose Pogonias. A saturated meadow, sun-shaped and jewels small, a circle scarcely wider than the trees around were tall, where winds were quite excluded, and the air was stifling sweet, with the breath of many flowers, a temple of the heat. There we bowed us in the burning, as the sun's right worship is, to pick where none could miss them, 1,000 orchises. For though the grass was scattered, yet every second spear seemed tipped with wings of color that tinged the atmosphere. We raised a simple prayer before we left the spot, that in the general mowing that place might be forgot, or if not all so favored, obtain such grace of ours, that none should mow the grass there, while so confused with flowers. Waiting, a field at dusk. What things for dream there are when, spectre-like, moving among tall haycocks lightly piled, I enter alone upon the stubble field, from which the laborers' voices late have died, and in the antiphony of afterglow and rising full moon sit me down upon the full moon's side of the first haycock, and lose myself amid so many alike. I dream upon the opposing lights of the hour, preventing shadow until the moon prevail. I dream upon the nighthawks peopling heaven, each circling each with vague unearthly cry, or plunging headlong with fierce twang afar, and on the bat's mute antics, who would seem dimly to have made out my secret place, only to lose it when he pirouettes, and seek it endlessly with purblind haste. On the last swallow's sweep, and on the rasp, in the abyss of odor and rustle at my back, that silenced by my advent finds once more, after an interval, his instrument, and tries once, twice, and thrice, if I be there. And on the worn book of old golden song, I brought not here to read, it seems, but hold, and freshen in this air of withering sweetness, but on the memory of one absent most, for whom these lines, when they shall greet her eye. In a vale. When I was young we dwelt in a vale, by a misty fen that rang all night, and thus it was the maiden's pale I knew so well, whose garments trail across the reeds to a window light. The fen had every kind of bloom, and for every kind there was a face, and a voice that has sounded in my room across the sill from the outer gloom. Each came singly unto her place, but all came every night with the mist, and often they brought so much to say of things of moment to which they wist. One so lonely was fain to list that the stars were almost faded away, before the last went, heavy with dew, back to the place from which she came, where the bird was before it flew, where the flower was before it grew, where the bird and flower were one and the same. And thus it is I know so well why the flower has odor, the bird has song. You have only to ask me, and I can tell. No, not vainly there did I dwell, nor vainly listen all the night long. A dream pang. I had withdrawn in forest, and my song was swallowed up in leaves that blew alway. And to the forest edge you came one day, this was my dream, and looked and pondered long, but did not enter, though the wish was strong. You shook your pensive head, as who should say, I dare not too far in his footsteps stray. He must seek me, would he undo the wrong. Not far but near I stood and saw it all. Behind low boughs the trees let down outside, and the sweet pang it cost me not to call, and tell you that I saw does still abide. But 'tis not true that thus I dwelt aloof, for the wood wakes, and you are here for proof. In neglect. They leave us to the way we took, as two in whom they were proved mistaken, that we sit sometimes in the wayside nook, with mischievous vagrant seraphic look, and try if we cannot feel forsaken. The vantage point. If tired of trees I seek again mankind, well I know where to hie me in the dawn, to a slope where the cattle keep the lawn. There amid lolling juniper reclined, myself unseen, I see in white defined, far off the homes of men, and farther still the graves of men on an opposing hill, living or dead, whichever are to mind. And if by noon I have too much of these, I have but to turn on my arm, and lo, the sun-burned hillside sets my face aglow. My breathing shakes the bluet like a breeze. I smell the earth, I smell the bruised plant. I look into the crater of the ant. Mowing. There was never a sound beside the wood but one, and that was my long scythe whispering to the ground. What was it whispered? I knew not well myself. Perhaps it was something about the heat of the sun, something, perhaps, about the lack of sound, and that was why it whispered and did not speak. It was no dream of the gift of idle hours or easy gold at the hand of fay or elf. Anything more than the truth would have seemed too weak to the earnest love that laid the swale in rows, not without feeble-pointed spikes of flowers, pale orchises, and scared a bright green snake. The fact is the sweetest dream that labor knows. My long scythe whispered and left the hay to make.